Hello everyone. Today we are going to look at some business ethics databases you might want to try while doing research. Here we have our library homepage, and you can see that we have a research tab at the top left. So we're going to go ahead and click that to start. We have all of our research guides listed by subject on the left. We're going to click management today for this example, but you could choose other subjects for different classes such as marketing or business. So go ahead and click on that, management. Okay, and our fourth tab over is article databases, and that is where we want to go. So the library has compiled a list here of useful databases you may want to try. What we're going to do today is look at a couple of them and show you some different subject terms and searching strategies for this course. So your first option is ABI Inform. If you click on that, you can see that you have a search bar and full text peer-reviewed options. I've actually pre-filled those in for you just so you can see an example search. So I put in my company name, British Petroleum, and I'm just going to start with ethic with that asterisk, and that's going to pull up ethics, ethical, any variation with that beginning stem part. Okay, so I've got my subject in the box, and let's go ahead and hit search. And I've got 440 results. It was important for me to hit full text and peer reviewed just so I cut out any articles that are not authoritative. If I wanted to do a little bit more, I could come down here and click scholarly journals. And I can also limit the date range to perhaps 2010 to 2019. It's a good range. Okay, and that cut our results down to 257, which is small enough for us to skim through and take a look at. You can also do further limiting with languages. Maybe you only want English articles, but you don't usually have to do that too often. So as an example, let's say that I was looking through my articles and I decided that I wanted to read one. Let's choose this one, Synchronizing Crisis Responses. So I click on it and take a look at the abstract and detail section. So I might read over, see if this article could be relevant to my focus, and I could also look at the subject terms. I might want to read a little bit more about risk management as part of ethics, so I could click that subject term, type and ethics, and if you wanted to be very specific, you could put in the name of your company, just like that. Okay, and you want to always include terms that should be together in these quotation marks just so that you don't lose anything in translation. Okay, so hit search, and so it looks like there are specifically 2 articles outside of that first one that have the subject term risk management, ethics, and beyond petroleum in them. So those might be some really good ones to take a look at. One of them is a report, one's a scholarly journal. So it's up to you to decide how specific you want to get, but databases do allow you to be as broad or narrow as you need to be. As an example here of search terms, I've created this Google Doc, and you can see it's that same process of opening the database, typing in the company name, and adding your search terms with that and, which is a Boolean operator, just strings things together. Here are some keywords I recommend you try. You could do things like sustainability, sustainable development, ethical decisions, leadership, management, organizational assessment. These are just a couple of options that you could string together with your company name. So for example, I had British Petroleum or Beyond Petroleum and Diversity, or British Petroleum, Beyond Petroleum, and Corporate Social Responsibility. If you use this or connection, you're saying that either of these terms is acceptable. So the article can have Beyond Petroleum and Diversity or British Petroleum and Diversity. It does not have to have both of them. So if you know your company has variant names, you might want to try that as an option if you're not getting enough articles or you just want to see what else is out there. So those are a couple of keywords you should try. Going back to our management database page here, we have another database called Business Source Complete. Business Source Complete, if you click on it, is an EBSCO hosted database. And what that means is all of the databases by EBSCO are going to have the same look, the same formatting. So you could type in your company name. Sometimes they'll give you helpful suggestions to finish it up. And your next search term. So I might try management. And if I wanted, I could choose their options, management, leadership, management theory, things like that. But I'm just going to go with management. And down here you can see that full text and peer-reviewed option under limit your results. So I'm clicking those as well. Okay, search. Okay, I've got 5 results, so it's very specific. I maybe would want to broaden my search at this point, but I would want to take a look at these 5 articles before I do that, just to see if those are right on target. Another option is you can just change your search term. So looking back at the list, I might try something like sustainability. Okay, and then search again, and it'll pull up a different batch. So I've got 2 that have these 2 terms, both the company name and sustainability. So that's always one option. I recommend that you play around with some of the search terms. You'll probably get more or less results depending on how popular a term is. Another choice is if you come up here to the thesaurus, you can see it here in the top left corner. You can actually type in different terms that you might want to see if they have specific categories for. So if I tried sustainability, and then it might tell me this term's not found, but here's some other ones related to it that you might want to try. So let's say I want sustainable development. I click that box, and then I could come over here and say, and is what I want to attach it with and add to my search. So now I've got sustainable development or green infrastructure, which are both related terms, and I could say, and we could put Beyond Petroleum as that company. So again, the more specific you get, you might narrow down your results a little too small, or in this case too big, and then you would have to limit further. So full text, peer reviewed, and then even the date range, publication date. So I'm going to put 2012 to 2020. And magically my 30,000 results have cut to 11, and from there I can keep narrowing down by journal or subject type or whatever may be that I'm interested in. So that's definitely a good option if you're trying to look at the broader subjects and also get more articles that are categorized the same way. So I'd find all articles with that same subject term. Normally databases organize things that way to make it a little bit easier for the searcher. Okay. Going back to our management page, you can see we've got regional business news here. And clicking on that, it's the same search process, so I'm not going to go through all of it again, but you just put your company name and whatever related search terms you want, and it will actually pick up different newspapers. What I recommend you do at this point is you can go to the left-hand side, which is going to have all the publication options, and go ahead and click something like the New York Times or any other reputable journal that you recognize that you want to see their articles from. So that's usually good for getting up-to-date information that maybe older articles wouldn't have. Okay. Some other options, if you wanted to go through our A to Z list, let me show you that over here. So on our University Library homepage, down here, A to Z database list, you could click this option, or you could come down here where we've got the little picture. Click on this one. And you can actually see every single database we have and just keyword search for news. You see I did that, I did Control F. Or you can just see some of our highlighted options below. So I only recommend you really do this if you are exploratory searching. Some specific ones that you could search for are U.S. News Stream, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, if you really want some good newspaper articles. But that's just something you can try. Okay, back on the management database page here, we have a legal database called Nexus Uni. So clicking on Nexus Uni, this one does look quite a bit different from most other databases. Give it a second to load. Okay, so this database actually does allow you to do advanced search, which I normally would recommend. But in this case, it's just as effective to use the basic search box, so this main box here, and then limit the results by category. So if I did Beyond Petroleum, and then hit the search bar, it's pretty broad, but we're going to cut it down. Okay, there it is. So there's 7,000 news articles, and you can see a lot of other options on the left here. At this point, I could say I want to look at cases maybe. I want to see what legal occurrences have happened around Beyond Petroleum. I could also more specifically add Beyond Petroleum and ethics, or I could do Beyond Petroleum and you could use any specific ethical issue related to the company that you've heard of from your other research. So maybe there was a specific oil spill that you wanted to see cases related to, or things like that. So just by adding ethics, I got my news articles down to 241, and then we've actually cut out the legal cases. So in this case, I might just want to see what newspapers had to say. So my suggestion is typically start out a little bit broader, and then add more subject terms as you go until you have a number that is reasonable to look at, or that's very specific to what you're trying to find. If you end up getting no results, that just means you've been a little too specific and you need to try again. So it's just an iterative process, always going back and trying new things. Going back to our database main page here, the next database I recommend you look at is Mergent Online. If you click on Mergent Online, you can see this also looks pretty unique. What you're going to want to pull from here is potentially some annual reports or corporate social responsibility reports. And the best way to search is to find the ticker number. You can see there's a company search box here. I know the ticker number for BP is actually BP, but sometimes your company won't be quite as clear cut. If you're not sure what the ticker number is, I'll show you in a minute how to find it. So let's see, I'm looking for BP PLC. I can see it's from the UK, so that's the right one. And click on it. And here it is. I can even see their logo there backing up this is the correct company. Just to show you, if you weren't sure where to find it, that ticker number, just do a general Google search. Let's say you're looking for Apple. Just look up Apple ticker number, and then normally Yahoo News or another site will provide it there. So it would be AAPL for Apple, or for any other company, you could just do a quick Google search, get that info. So going back to Mergent Online, I have my portal here. The option I want to look at is reports. So it's a kind of in the middle here under your options. So click on reports. And then the ones that I would want to look at would be the annual reports, or if they had corporate social responsibility reports, they would be here as well. Starbucks is a good example of someone that does have those CSR reports. So looking at an annual report example here, it will show usually some information the company has compiled. You can look at the table of contents to narrow down where you'd like to jump to, just so you don't have to read through everything. Keyword searching is super important here. So just looking, I might want to check out maybe our business model, how their strategies, how they invest money, and then most importantly, I see here a sustainability category, which is going to be pretty relevant to this class. So as an example, there's page 39. I could just hop over there and I should see the information. So 37, 38, 39, there it is. So they'll actually give you the breakdown of some of the key information for sustainability, and then some of the communities and goals that they are working towards. So not every company is going to have this, but if you can dig through those annual reports and find some information like this, it could be pretty valuable. Do keep in mind that you want to compare sources. Don't just believe what a company is telling you, but back it up with other articles you've read. If you can't back it up, that probably means the company is making some claims that have not been proven because other people aren't supporting their ideas. So just something to keep in mind. Always compare other sources when a company is giving personal details like that in annual reports. Okay, the next option that we're going to actually look at is how to search Google effectively. Now, you may be wondering, why are we searching Google? I do this already. But there's something that you can try, just to show you with our Beyond Petroleum example. So if you search the main term, you're just going to get a bunch of results, a little bit overwhelming. What I actually recommend you do is come over to Settings, which is right here under the search box, and click on Advanced Search. And you can actually limit by site or domain. I usually start with .edu just to see what educational institutions have to say about that subject term, Beyond Petroleum. Okay, and you're going to notice that every result now has .edu at the end of it. So we get things like Harvard, University of Michigan, a lot of good, reputable options. If you wanted to broaden the search differently, you could go back to Settings, Advanced Search, and maybe put .gov to see if the government's weighed in on this. Or you could even put .org in that box to see some organizational sites. You can usually trust .edu and .govs pretty readily. .orgs you have to be a little bit more cautious about because they sometimes have an agenda. So just compare your sources, see if the information is backing each other up, and if it's not, then you have to make a judgment call or do a little bit more research. Just as an example for the government here, you can see we got the couple of different options here: Securities Commission, FBI, Environmental Protection Agency. So depending on which company you picked, you'll probably be getting different government sites, but that's perfectly fine. This is just one way to find them in an easy way. Lastly, you can check out the home page of your company. Here's BP's. And normally, company sites, like I said, you have to be a bit cautious because they do have their own agenda to project. But if you hadn't found the company's perspective, you could come in here and click tabs like sustainability, economics. Sometimes if you scroll to the bottom, they'll have these tabs down here. It just depends on your company. But this is a good place to see what the company holds important and to see what their goals are for the coming year. So I definitely recommend that you take a look at company sites just to make sure you get the whole picture, but this should usually be one of the last steps after you've done some other research, just to see if it affirms things you found already or if it kind of goes against. So you can see all the important people there as well. That's basically what I have for you in terms of research sources. if you would like some specific assistance, you're always welcome to email me. My email is m.shea@tamuct.edu. You can just email me directly and I can give you some search string suggestions or narrow down the databases that will be more useful to you and your search. Thanks for watching and good luck in your research.